Hi, this is Jaya. In this video, we shall see the summary of Ode to a Nightingale, a poem by John Keats. The poem opens with the speaker's declaration of his own heartache. He says he feels numb as though he had taken a drug only a moment ago. He is addressing a nightingale which he hears singing somewhere in the forest and says that his drowsy numbness is not from envy of the nightingale's happiness but rather from sharing it. He is too happy that the nightingale sings the music of summer from amid some unseen plot of green trees and shadows. The speaker longs for the oblivion of alcohol, expressing his wish for wine, which is a draught of vintage, and that would taste like the country and like peasant dances, and let him leave the world unseen and disappear into the dim forest with the nightingale. He explains his desire to fade away, saying he would like to forget the troubles the nightingale has never known, such as the weariness, the fever, and the fret of human life, with its consciousness that everything is mortal and nothing lasts. Youth grows pale and spectre thin and dies, and beauty cannot keep her lustrous eyes. The speaker tells a nightingale to fly away, and he will follow, not through alcohol, not charioted by bachoos and disparts, but through poetry, which will give him viewless wings. He says he is already with the nightingale and describes the forest glade where even the moonlight is hidden by the trees, except the light that breaks through when the breezes blow the branches. The speaker says that he cannot see the flowers in the glade, but can guess them in embalmed darkness, like white hawthorn, eglantine, violets, and the musk rose, the murmurous haunt of flies on summer eves. The speaker listens in the dark to the nightingale, saying that he has often been half in love with the idea of dying and called death soft names in many rhymes. Surrounded by the nightingale's song, the speaker thinks that the idea of death seems richer than ever, and he longs to seize upon the midnight with no pain, while the nightingale pours its soul ecstatically forth. If he were to die, the nightingale would continue to sing, he says, but he would have ears in vain and be no able longer to hear. The speaker tells the nightingale that it is immortal, not born for death. He says that the voice he hears singing has always been heard by ancient emperors and clowns, by homesick Ruth. He even says the song has often charmed open magic windows looking out over the foam of perilous seas in fairyland forlorn. The word forlorn tolls like a bell to restore the speaker from his preoccupation with the nightingale and back into himself. As the nightingale flies far away from him, he laments that his imagination has failed him and says that he can no longer recall whether the nightingale's music was a vision or a waking dream. Now that the music is gone, the speaker cannot recall whether he himself is awake or asleep. The poem goes like this. My heart aches and a drowsy numbness pains. My sense as though of hemlock I had drunk, or emptied some dull opiate to the drains. 1 minute passed and lithe words had sunk. It is not through envy of thy happy lot, but being too happy in thine happiness, that thou, light-winged dryad of the trees, in some melodious plot of beechen green and shadows numberless, singest of summer in full-throated ease. Oh, for a draught of vintage that hath been cooled a long age in the deep-dwelt earth, tasting of flora and the country green, dance and provincial song and sunburnt mirth. Oh, for a beaker full of the warm south, full of the true, the blushful hypocrite, with beaded bubbles winking at the brim, and purple-stained mouth, that I might drink and leave the world unseen, and with thee fade away into the forest dim. Fade far away, dissolve, and quite forget what thou among the leaves hast never known, the weariness, the fever, and the fret. Here where men sit and hear each other groan, where palsy shakes a few sad last grey hairs, where youth grows pale and spectre thin and dies. Where but to think is to be full of sorrow and leaden-eyed despairs, where beauty cannot keep her lustrous eyes, or new love pine at them beyond tomorrow. Away, away, for I will fly to thee, not charioted by butchers and disparates, but on the viewless wings of poesy. Though the dull brain perplexes and retards, already with thee, tender is the night, and happily the queen moon is on her throne, clustered around by all her starry face. But here there is no light, save what from heaven is with the breezes blown through verdurous glooms and winding mosses aways. I cannot see what flowers are at my feet, nor what soft incense hangs upon the boughs. But in embalmed darkness, guess each sweet wherewith the seasonable month endows the grass, the thicket, and the fruit tree wild, white hawthorn and the pastoral eglantine, fast fading violets covered up in leaves, and mid May's eldest child, the coming musk rose, full of dewy wine, the murmurous haunt of flies on summer eves. Darkling I listen, and for many a time I have been half in love with easeful death, called him soft names in many a mused rhyme. To take into the air my quiet breath, now more than ever seems it rich to die, to seize upon the midnight with no pain, while thou art pouring forth thy soul abroad. In such an ecstasy still wouldst thou sing, and I have ears in vain, to thy high regime become a sword. Thou wast not born for death, immortal bird. No hungry generations tread thee down. The voice I hear this passing night was heard in ancient days by emperors and clown. Perhaps the self same song that found a path through the sad heart of Ruth when sick for home. She stood in tears amid the alien corn, the same that oft at times hath charmed magic casements, opening on the foam of perilous seas in fairyland forlorn. Forlorn, the very word is like a bell to call me back from thee to my soul self. Adieu. The fancy cannot cheat so well as she is famed to do, deceiving elf. Adieu, adieu, thy plaintive anthem fades, past the near meadows, over the still stream, up the hillside, and now it is buried deep. In the next valley glades, was it a vision or a waking?